ahead, a sea battle in the Southern Ocean as Greenpeace takes on Japanese whaling boats. Rough justice for a suspected mugger when he tried to escape through a tiger enclosure. There are serious new concerns about the drug that's supposed to protect us against bird flu. The designer plants that's a hot favourite for thieves in Auckland, and a New Zealander shares some of the limelight at Elton John's wedding. Join us at 6.
If you want neighbourhood gossip, ask the kids. It even works down Coronation Street. Everyone needs it. For some, it's a nightmare. Find out all about sleep and the lack of it in Nights from Hell. Here tonight on 1.
Tonight, will a shocking killing in Christchurch come back to haunt a hospital? Revelations of an attack on another woman. How a supposed sanctuary has become a harvesting ground for Japanese whale hunters. The worrying case of the kidnapped penguin, who may not survive Christmas away from the cold. And a gay old time as Elton John says yes, and a Kiwi's cake is added to his party. Kia ora, good evening. The man already accused of running over a Christchurch sex worker and dumping her body in a river is now facing charges over the abduction of another woman days before. But One News has been told that between the two alleged incidents, the man went to the Hillmorton Psychiatric Hospital for help.
On the day a family buried their daughter, the man accused of murdering, raping and kidnapping the 24-year-old was facing more charges. Those charges relate to an incident involving another woman, an incident which allegedly occurred on the 11th of December, 4 days before the sex worker was found dead in the Avon River. The latest charges, abducting a woman and sexual violation. And One News has been told that after that incident on December the 11th, the man went to Hillmorton Psychiatric Hospital on the outskirts of Christchurch. He told staff what he had done and sought help. Today, Hillmorton Hospital declined to answer any questions, saying the case was still before the courts, so it's unclear how long he stayed or what, if any, treatment he received. One News has been told it was 12 to 24 hours after he left Hillmorton Hospital that the second victim was allegedly kidnapped and murdered. Police say their investigation into that murder is still ongoing and therefore they're unable to comment. They did, however, confirm that an investigation's underway at Hillmorton Hospital. The 28-year-old accused in both cases is in custody. He didn't appear in court today due to a mix-up over when the latest charges were to be laid. He'll reappear on December the 29th. Vicky Wilkinson-Baker, One News.
There's been a dramatic water fight in the Southern Ocean, which has seen Greenpeace take on a Japanese whaling fleet, aiming for their biggest catch in 20 years. The Japanese plan to kill 1,000 whales this summer, calling it a scientific program. And they've arrived at their Antarctic harvesting ground, prepared to fight back against the protesters.
The Japanese fleet is armed and ready for battle as Greenpeace challenges its research vessel in the Southern Ocean Whale Sanctuary. The whaling crew holds signs saying science-based lethal research and Greenpeace misleads the public. But Greenpeace say they're not the ones misleading.
This scientific research is not science, it's commercial whaling under the guise of scientific research. We want them to stop whaling, we want them out of the Southern Ocean Sanctuary.
At the International Whaling Commission meeting this year, Japan was condemned for doubling their whale take to nearly 1,000, mainly minke whales.
We think Japan's excuse that it needs to kill hundreds, bordering on 1,000 whales this year, to study them is an outrage, and we totally reject it.
The Japan Whaling Association's website says asking Japan to abandon this part of its culture would compare to Australians being asked to stop eating meat pies, Americans being asked to stop eating hamburgers, and the English being asked to go without fish and chips. It also claims a scientific benefit, referring to whales as samples, and publishes a study into feeding ecology of whales, which lists the food found in their stomachs when cut open. 2 Greenpeace vessels plan to spend the next few months obstructing the Japanese fleet.
There's some danger involved for sure. We try to be careful because there's always a chance that something happens. We're obviously very focused with our job here, which is simply preventing the catcher boats from catching whales.
Which they've managed to do. No whales have been harpooned since the protesters arrived on the scene yesterday. Sharon Ferguson, One News.
And while the Japanese are killing whales, dock staff are tonight nervously watching Golden Bay to see if about 100 pilot whales will stay alive. But there's been a grim mission today, burying those that didn't survive a mass stranding on Tuesday.
Daylight revealed the disturbing mortality of Mother Nature.
It's very moving, actually. You know, they're not just like an animal.
Blistered by the sun, the 24 dead were placed side by side under Māori and DOC protocol in a mass grave.
And we're here to support them to send these dead whales on their journey.
Hundreds tried to save the whales yesterday. Only a handful came to say farewell today.
I think what they call it closure. It was, oh, I can't explain. It was just amazing. We saved so many dolphins yesterday, and we knew some of them didn't survive. And to say goodbye to them in such a nice way with the Maori lady doing the prayer.
How do you feel about being involved? It feels like a tangihanga.
Oh, heck yes. Yes, as soon as I would come around the bay, I started tonguing like as if I'm on the marae. Can't help it, dear. It's like the people on the marae, you know the way to aroha.
Experts now know the pod's elders were sick and came ashore to die.
We could identify those animals right at the beginning, and I don't know why they're in distress, but it seems as though they were the ones that caused the mass stranding.
This area where I'm standing is an urupa or cemetery containing hundreds of whales which have stranded here in the past. The latest grave contains 24.
DOC whale watchers will keep a close eye on the 100 or so survivors. While another stranding was successfully diverted this morning, it's feared other members of the pod are sick, or that the communal creatures will beach again while searching for their dead. Judy, One News.
He might have admitted to charges stemming from stomach-churning abuse of a dog, but a Lower Hutt man wasn't showing much regret today. 29-year-old Uwe Prus even made threatening gestures to the animal's owner, sitting in the courtroom.
Uwe Prus at an earlier court appearance, objecting strongly to being filmed. But today he pleaded guilty to charges of theft of a dog and failing to ensure it received treatment to alleviate pain and stress. The charges relate to Evelyn Weaver's dog, Honey, who was put down in July after suffering horrific injuries, including being shaved and having a hole drilled into her throat.
When he brought it to me, her claws were bleeding, there's pools of blood everywhere, and she could hardly stand up.
Prus is already serving a prison term for burglary, but in court today showed no remorse. When he entered the courtroom, Prus eyeballed pet owners in the public gallery, drew a finger across his throat several times, mouthing threats, until prison guards told him to stop.
Very, very irrational and crazy behaviour, you know.
Prus was originally charged with aggravated cruelty to Honey and to Marina's cat Athena, but struck a plea bargain.
The second cat that went missing came back with a dislocated jaw.
Both women let Prus board with them while he was on bail.
When I think about Honey, I just go into a state of horror. And though he's not pleading guilty to torturing her, it's quite obvious that he did.
Other former housemates are concerned that Prus may have had something to do with injuries to their animals, but he's never faced charges.
And my girl cat, she got locked in the freezer, and his words were, your cat jumped in the freezer itself.
Uwe Prus will be sentenced in February next year. Billy Jo Hohepa, One News.
Well, New Zealanders could be in for cheaper power bills if the country's competition watchdog has its way. The Commerce Commission says it intends to take control of the state company Transpower, which owns and operates the national grid. The move would allow the Commerce Commission to lower prices and comes after Transpower announced last month it'd raise its prices by 20%. A final decision on whether the Commission steps in will be made in March. Time is running out for that Christmas shopping, but we've left the last-minute madness until very late this year. New figures show the shopping frenzy has just kicked in this week, and retailers are expecting it to peak on Saturday.
On the third day of Christmas, my true love sent to me.
From the deep south to the Garden City, to the sunny bay to Auckland.
The whole country is alive with late Christmas shoppers.
I always say I'm going to start in June and didn't. You know, the last 3 weeks has been pretty hectic.
Children, the force behind the Christmas rush.
Xbox 360. A doll. Calendar. Shoes. Clothes, makeup, jewellery.
Retailers here say it's been a slow start this year, the Christmas rush only really kicking off this week. But they say they expect Saturday to be one of the busiest shopping days this year.
This week's been real busy. Yesterday was absolutely fantastic.
And shoppers aren't being shy with the plastic.
Compared to last year in terms of both volume and value, we think transactions are around about 5% up on the same period, which means that we're spending more this Christmas.
Pre-Christmas sales obviously tempting those wallets.
Our strategy should be to go early and have the prices real tempting when people are and about shopping in a busy week.
100 EFTPOS transactions per second are expected to be made on Saturday, and retailers say the majority of those using the plastic will be mail.
I'll do it on Saturday.
My wife, she's busy doing it.
You think it's got anything to do with being mail?
Yes, very much so. I'll do it on Saturday night.
For some young cuties, only 3 more sleeps until it's all revealed. What have you brought?
I just can't tell people.
Catherine Loft, One News.
And high on the shopping lists of many gardeners might be one particular designer plant. It's certainly proving a hot favourite with thieves on Auckland's North Shore. The problem's so bad that one landscape designer's turned detective in desperation.
It's the great plant robbery. Under the cover of darkness, people steal expensive plants any way they can.
This is where one of the yuccas has just been wrenched straight out of the ground. They've come along, been unsuccessful in grabbing these really quickly, so what they did was they snapped them off.
It's the second time Merrin Webster's work's been hit since July. All up, around 90 plants have been stolen.
There were 5 yuccas along here. They've all been just lifted, and they were right down here.
Just 1 yucca survived here, and replacements are weedy in contrast.
It does look kind of teeny.
A light-fingered operation feeding a green-fingered black market, and industry rivals are her biggest suspects.
Landscapers do it because they may well have a position that they can go and put the plants in straight away.
But police won't investigate without more information, leaving the building's managers and Merrin to play detective. The property's already under close surveillance. This just one of the many robbers caught on security cam. In less than a minute, any loose yuccas are thrown in the van and the culprit's off, and so far still on the loose.
We can't afford to have somebody standing on the plants 24 hours a day. We do have a security guard who's based in the complex who's around, but he hasn't caught them as yet.
In desperation, they're now turning to microchipping the plants to track down the criminals. And this is how it works. A microchip probe is placed right into the ball of the root. Any substantial movement will activate it, and it can be traced anywhere up to a 40-kilometre radius. The technology is estimated to cost $40 a pop, but with yuccas priced at over $150, it could yet prove worthwhile. Jacobina Plummer, One News.
Britain's most famous gay couple have tied the knot. Sir Elton John and his longtime partner David Furnish joined hundreds of gay couples across England and Wales who took advantage of a new law that lets them formalise their relationships. Europe correspondent Lisa Owen was among the well-wishers at Windsor, near London.
It was the day a Goliath of the music industry said "I do" to his David. The groom and groom arrived at the Guildhall in the shadow of Windsor Castle, looking every bit entertainment royalty. Sir Elton ditching his famously flamboyant couture for matching basic black. The pair, though, positively sparkled, and the music maestro worked the crowd to a crescendo.
They look happy. Yeah, they look happy together.
Then Sir Elton John officially bowed out of life as a singleton. Behind closed doors and in front of just a few friends and family, the couple of more than a decade finally became partners in the eyes of the law. The knot tied, the music and movie makers emerged history makers. All smiles and ready to soak up the congratulations, along with a kiss and a cake made by a Kiwi girl from Napier.
Elton put his hand on his heart and said, "I'm really touched, thank you so much." So it was incredible.
Then it was off to prepare for the $2.5 million reception. It's being described as the party of the year, and it's happening through there at that enormous white marquee that you can just catch a glimpse of. We would love to take a closer peek, but sadly we're not among the invited guests, and security is tight. By nightfall, the quiet country lane near Sir Elton's was bumper to bumper with celebrity sitting ducks, perfect for paparazzi pickings. Among the 700 partygoers, a Beatle, the Osbournes, a hassled-looking Liz Hurley, and of course, the posh one. All reduced to queuing for their champagne, the pink kind, of course. Lisa Owen, One News, Windsor.
Coming up, fears Tamiflu is losing its sting. Holding court once again, Saddam Hussein says he was tortured by Americans. And the plight of the penguin, the race to find a baby snatched from his parents.
Later in sport, the NRL's booze culture is exposed again. Plus the Herminator, but not as we know him. And just what are you up to, Titch?
On the day a former Catholic brother was jailed for abusing schoolboys in the 70s and 80s, it's been revealed he'll face new charges. John Stevenson is the second brother from the Hatopaora Maori boarding school to be convicted of sex offences.
John Louis Stevenson, or brother Bernard, about to begin a 3.5-year sentence for abusing boys at Hatopaora College.
You took advantage of the vulnerability of these boys who were separated from their parents and isolated in a country boarding school.
Brother Bernard was the rugby and swimming coach as well as the tuck shop manager at the school during the 70s and 80s.
I said to the police that if I went through the church, he'll get more support than I would.
Police are delighted for the 4 brave victims that have come forward in this case, that there's an early resolution and closure for them, but we are still investigating other complaints in relation to other victims.
The Marist order also paid another victim $20,000 and never informed police, but now says it's shocked.
I'm just amazed you say you're shocked when we know that Brother Bernard was in counselling for sexual abuse for 5.5 years.
When it comes to something like this and a sentencing, it's all out in the open and in the light. It really brings it home to everybody.
The order received the first formal complaint about Brother Bernard in 2002.
So why was he in counselling prior to that?
I don't know why he was in counselling.
It was paid for by the society, as far as I understand.
We are a family, and anybody who has particular need, we look after them.
But Brother Bernard's victims say that family hasn't looked after them. Jen Nolan, One News.
There are new concerns about the effectiveness of the drug millions are counting on if there's a bird flu pandemic. Tamiflu has been tried on 8 patients in Vietnam. Half of them died. And doctors say in the case of a 13-year-old girl and another patient, bird flu mutated into a form that resisted the drug.
Drug resistance is a major global problem, and this was probably inevitable amongst the influenza viruses.
Researchers say it'll take at least 6 months to develop a vaccine when a bird flu pandemic hits. Until then, Tamiflu remains the only defence. America is scoffing at claims by Saddam Hussein that he's been tortured and beaten by his American jailers. The former Iraqi dictator has told judges at his trial in Baghdad that he has the marks on his body to prove it. But a White House spokesman describes his claims as preposterous.
When the court last met 2 weeks ago, Saddam refused to attend, saying he hadn't been treated properly. Today he was back in the dock, but the accusations were a lot stronger.
We were beaten up by Americans, and we were tortured. Every one of us. This man, when he gets up, he has to hold the railing because he was beaten up on his back badly.
Then he grew fiercer. Yes, I have been beaten everywhere on my body, he says. And he goes on, I'm not complaining about the Americans because I can poke their eyes out with my own hands. Whether his American guards have really done anything worse than handcuff him and push him around seems a bit unlikely. Still, he was certainly treated roughly when he was first captured exactly 2 years ago, and there were complaints around the world about these scenes, but none of them quite amount to torture. This trial is all about the torture, brutality and murder that was committed against the inhabitants of the town of Dujail back in 1982. That may explain why Saddam is now trying to set up this counter-complaint of torture. He may be hoping to lessen the effect of the evidence. Today, people in Dujail itself are watching the proceedings avidly. They've got no problem with the way he's being treated. But people in other Arab countries will believe Saddam's accusations, and he knows it.
A suspected mugger has paid the ultimate price for trying to elude police by ducking into a South African zoo. The man was mauled to death when he climbed into the tiger enclosure. The big cats had already been fed, but that didn't stop them attacking him. Zoo officials say the tigers weren't to blame and won't be destroyed. Police say the man and an accomplice had robbed a couple at knife point. What should be a joyous time of year is instead a very sad time for staff at a British zoo. A baby penguin called Toga is missing, and his keepers say he only has a day or so to live unless he's returned.
Toga is just 3 months old, and as you can see in this photo handed out by police, he still sports the brown and white coloring of a juvenile. His keepers noticed he was missing from the penguin pen at Amazon World, a tourist destination on Britain's Isle of Wight, on Saturday. Ever since, his parents have shown signs they're distraught. They're not eating, they're checking and rechecking their nest and generally moping around. So we know they're sad. Police say they don't have any solid leads in the case, but one of Toga's keepers has a theory. The hit movie March of the Penguins, which is just out in England, might have given someone an idea for a unique Christmas present.
I think this has been stolen not for money. I think this has been stolen because someone's seen this cuddly little baby animal that looks lovely and someone thought this is going to be great for my girlfriend.
The truth is, according to the experts, a baby penguin would make a terrible gift. A penguin this young can't survive without its mother. They're prone to biting those who aren't fellow penguins, and they can be, shall we say, aromatic when kept indoors.
A $13,000 award is being offered for Toga's safe return. Well, still to come, the Bobbies going back to basics to battle youth crime. The creepy crawly, last seen 50 years ago, rediscovered by a 6-year-old. And queuing up for a 2-minute treat, the latest little hit in Wanganui.
The Marata floods Wednesday the 18th of May 2005. But even though Marata was devastated, it still feels like the same, like home.
The moving account of a small New Zealand town, their story, their hopes. Dave Dobbin performs for One Night in Matata, a TV1 special, Friday.
Tonight, it's nearly a month since Auckland student Hamid Sudan was kidnapped in Iraq. We talked to an Al-Qaeda expert about Hamid's chances of being home with family for the new year. Plus, one Kiwi woman who got to share the love with pop star Elton John on his wedding day. That's on Close Up tonight at 7.
What will be the most powerful wind farm in the world has just been given the go-ahead. Meridian Energy wants to start building huge wind turbines at Makara on Wellington's west coast in the new year. But some local residents plan to appeal that decision.
Linda and Max Simmons have poured 15 years of hard work into creating what they call their haven in Makara near Wellington, a garden they'd planned to enjoy throughout their retirement. But now the couple are debating whether to sell up and start all over again.
Having created this wonderful garden, blood, sweat and tears, and to find that it's all for naught is pretty devastating.
5 of the new wind turbines will be just over a kilometre from their home, depreciating the value they claim by 30%. In operation, the 70 turbines will be as high as the transmitter on Mount Coco. That's 125 metres. And the span at 80 metres is almost the length of a rugby field. That's the same width as the wingspan of a Boeing 747, putting out enough electricity for over 100,000 homes. But Meridian Energy, which is building the wind farm, insists its size is its strength.
This is potentially a world beater of a project. Wellington has got a great wind resource. That won't come as any surprise, and it'll set world records for production.
Our life will never be quite the same. These turbines are massive.
Locals opposed to the project say they'll appeal in the Environment Court, but Meridian claims it's already accounted for a 6-month delay and plans for the wind farm to be in motion this time next year. Jennifer Curtis, One News.
Police are turning back the clock in Waimate in South Canterbury, turning back to an older style of policing as they crack down on petty youth crime. Under the scheme, youngsters accused of minor crimes are being punished on the spot with chores.
A bobby on the beat is a common sight on this footpath, and it's on this footpath that Mike van der Hayden's just seen two youngsters illegally ride their bikes.
Secondly, you should have your cycle helmets on. Okay, for your own. You do have cycle helmets?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you make sure you bring them with your bikes. Okay? Right, we'll see you back here shortly.
And soon the youngsters are undertaking their punishment Waimate style. Tasks like this are part of a community initiative where young offenders are punished through chores rather than fines.
It's probably the way policing has been in the past, where responsibility has been placed back on the offender.
Putting it back on the offender then and there, so the case doesn't linger. Quick justice dealing with petty crimes, from throwing stones to spitting on the street.
He was brought back to the police station and taken back down with a bucket of disinfectant to clean up his mess. It wasn't about humiliation as such, it was about him putting right what he had done wrong.
The scheme's been welcomed by many Waimate residents.
Having these young boys picking up rubbish and that after they've been misbehaving is fantastic.
I've come out and applaud it. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Letting them see that they've done something wrong, but they can do something good, and they can show the rest of the community that they can do something good.
Police say they'll be reviewing the success of the scheme in the new year. Tom Fraser, One News.
Controversial former MP John Tamihere is returning to the Waiparera Trust Board following a High Court ruling. It says moves by the Waiparera Trust to exclude Mr Tamihere and 4 other elected members was illegal. The court also ruled that trust beneficiaries were entitled to elect 7 members. The share market ended the day in negative territory. The top 50 index down 9 points on turnover of $140 million. Fletcher Building fell sharply, but Sky TV went against the trend. And just to clarify last night's report on the warehouse, the company's chairman did not sell 500,000 shares. He ceased to be a trustee for the shares in question. On the currency markets, the New Zealand dollar fell sharply after new figures showed economic growth declining to 2.7%. Well, it was only a wee snippet of the feature film, but that didn't stop Wanganui locals from turning up for the first big screen glimpse of the movie River Queen. About 100 people turned out this morning to catch the film's 2-minute trailer. The locally shot movie, set during the Maori land wars, was dogged by controversy, and director Vincent Ward was fired, then rehired.
It's going to be hot. It's going to put Wanganui on the map, and it's awesome.
The film will premiere in Wanganui on the 26th of January. Well, Neil's here next with sport and a big boost for our cyclists.
We've got some new technology, brand new, Judy. It's called Dialed in Motion. Also coming up, kangaroo Craig Gower and the aftermath of his 2-day bender. Plus on fire, Kobe Bryant assaults the record book in the heavyweight mismatch, the new champ and his wife.
12 days have passed since Auckland student Hamid Sudin was due to be released in Iraq. With no news, the silence has been deafening. We talked to an Al-Qaeda expert about Hamid's chances of being reunited with his family. Plus, fun with meat on Christmas Day. Reporter Connie Buchanan fleshes out what's hot for holiday dinners. That's on Close Up at 7 o'clock.
The NRL's problem booze culture is in the spotlight again. This time, kangaroo Craig Gower is being investigated after a raucous 2-day bender. His rugby league future is now in doubt.
Wayne Bennett quit as Australian league coach because he was sick of the drunks. So he wouldn't like hearing this.
What about this drinking they reckon has been happening over there? Didn't get enough going? No, I'm just trying to get into it now.
Lighthearted fun turned nasty at night when, according to witnesses, Gower groped the daughter of Wayne Pearce. Pearce wouldn't comment today, but 9 News is aware he's fuming and may have had a physical altercation with Gower. Gower didn't return calls, but his manager Greg Willett faced the music.
He just, denies it. You know what I mean? He said that's not how it was. And, I can only vouch for his character.
It's claimed Gower also tried to pick a fight with Pearce's son Mitchell, a talented young league player who has just been signed by the Sydney Roosters. Other allegations include that Gower was kicked out of an official function, that he walked around the resort naked, and that he crashed a golf cart, which he says he'll pay for.
It was his bucks week. You know what I mean? Everyone was buying him beers and that. He had 2 days of a bucks party and things like that.
Gower's due to marry his longtime fiancée, Amanda Flynn, from Channel 9's Footy Show in 3 weeks. The NRL are fully aware of the incident, but won't provide comment until they get a full report from the Penrith club.
One of the largest contingents of Kiwi sports fans is set to head to Melbourne for the Commonwealth Games. 3 months out, thousands have secured tickets, and there's good news for those thinking about heading across the Tasman to follow the Kiwis' chase for gold.
Playing ball for the camera, but this isn't even the scary version.
I quite often yell and I'm quite vocal at my trainings. I suppose that's why I'm like I am, I suppose, but grumpy. It was easier in front of a camera because you get no response.
A response is what Spark hopes it can achieve promoting his image. Complete with Golden Sweat, an advertising campaign will showcase athletes ahead of the Games. Already 4,000 Kiwi fans are booked to go to Melbourne, and as teams are announced, friends and family are snapping up tickets.
My son Dean Kent has qualified and will be swimming in the 400 and 200 individual medley events.
As Dean Kent of New Zealand goes in and wins it.
It's very emotional, really, when you see your offspring coming into this massive Olympic stage or Commonwealth stage.
New Zealand's got a very big team for these games, so consequently that puts more pressure on things. So my pick of it is it'll certainly be one of the largest contingents of New Zealand to go to a Commonwealth Games, certainly since 1990 in our own home base in Auckland.
Only 200 tickets out of 7,000 were allocated to New Zealand for the netball final. But there's better news for rugby fans. Hundreds more tickets to the final day of the Sevens have been freed up after a lack of interest in Victoria.
But certainly we're looking for a huge amount of support, certainly in Melbourne being so close.
And those supporters will be hoping to be treated to scenes like this, with only 3 months left for the Sevens side to return to its golden form. Ben Tornquist, One News.
The England cricket team lost the one-day series in Pakistan, but they did have a consolation win in a low-scoring final match in Rawalpindi. Vikram Solanki helped England recover after a bad start. He top-scored with 49 off 86 balls on a slow pitch, difficult for batting. Andrew Flintoff joined him in a useful partnership of 65 for the 4th wicket, and he managed to lift this one over the ropes. Liam Plunkett made an important contribution at the end. He made 24 off just 12 balls, including the 6 off the last ball of the innings. Pakistan danger man Cameron Akmal didn't fire in this match. The scorer of 2 centuries in the series was out for 11. The home team's best batsman in the match was Yasser Hamid. This boundary, part of a 101-run partnership with Mohammad Yusuf. But Pakistan lost wickets regularly. This was the 9th to fall. Runner Navid caught by Paul Collingwood after the ball finally fell from the sky. Pakistan needed 6 of the last ball of the match to tie. Liam Plunkett did what he had to do for England, and the touring team won by 6 runs. The International Tennis Federation has handed its most severe ban ever for a positive drugs test. Argentinian Mariano Puerta has been banned for 8 years, his career effectively at an end.
This is the second time 27-year-old Puerta has been busted for drugs. In February 2003, he was suspended for 9 months. Now he's gone for 8 years, the first time ever a tennis player has been banned for more than 2 years for a doping offence. He tested positive to a cardiac stimulant after losing the French Open final in June. Apparently it came from medication Puerta's wife takes for hypertension. He has 3 weeks to appeal. Another big name taking a fall was Austrian ski ace Hermann Maier, who spectacularly exited a World Cup giant slalom in Slovenia. The Hermanator, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, was roughed up but otherwise unhurt. He has a history of high-profile crashes, the best known during the Winter Olympics in Nagano, Japan. One man you'd find hard to take the fall is new heavyweight champion Nikolai Valuev. The Russian weighs in at 146 kgs and stands at 2.13 metres. He's the first Russian heavyweight champ and the biggest of all time, following his win over American John Ruiz at the weekend. A former basketball player and discus thrower, Valuev has been dubbed the Beast of the East. Among his welcoming committee in St Petersburg was his diminutive wife Galina, who weighs 100 kilograms less than he does. the pair making a snug couple as they'd left for home. David DeSoma, One News.
He's a big one. Los Angeles Lakers star Kobe Bryant has produced a giant killing performance in the NBA. He netted a career-high 62 points against Dallas without even playing the fourth quarter. He scored 30 of those in the third quarter.
And he knocks it down, a right-handed reverse as he works diagonally across the paint. Kobe has it right wing, pulls up on a three. Oh! Almost a gun and jump. Oh, my goodness. Kobe waving to the crowd. Better than 19,000 here at Staples Center, up on their feet.
You know, it's tough to describe. You know, when you get in one of those rhythms, you just get in a groove, and you know, things just start happening for you.
The Lakers' all-time scoring record is 71 points, set in 1960. Now, most people won't score 60 points in 2 full games. It's incredible. Not running so hot as Real Madrid, the Glamour side has been upset this morning by Racing Santander in the first game under caretaker coach Juan Ramon Caro. Real was denied twice within seconds in the 12th minute after superb saves by the Racing goalkeeper. And with just 3 league wins this season, Racing stunned Ronaldo and co with goals in the 22nd and 32nd minute. Booed by the fans at half-time, Ronaldo did his best to get Real back on track, but it wasn't enough. The final score 2-1. Real Madrid now 5th on the table, 11 points behind leader Barcelona. The Dunedin creators of a sporting innovation hope their technology will give our cyclists a more comfortable ride and our elite athletes the competitive edge. They say dialed in motion is the first technology in the world to analyse a bike rider's position, and our top cyclists are already taking the lead.
New Zealand cyclist Ellie Shanks is relatively new on the circuit, but she's already won silver and bronze at the Oceania Games. To succeed, she trains hard and heads to top technology for her competitive edge.
Okay, Ellie, we'll get you and set you up on your bike. Jump on.
Dialed in motion is the brainchild of a group of Kiwi experts.
You put your hands down on your drops and just look straight ahead. Yep, there's video you now, that's great. Thank you.
Once videoed, analysis begins.
This angle here is too small, so the seat needs to go up a wee bit. And then this distance here from the knee to the pedal shaft is too big, so the seat needs to go back a wee bit as well.
Then it's just a few adjustments.
Those bars need to come up around a wee bit.
For the perfect position.
It comes down to often a few seconds with a win or lose, and so yeah, the dialed motion has enabled the position to be a lot more efficient.
Other top athletes have used the technology, including Sarah Ulmer before last year's Olympics.
And the world record may fall as well. It will!
Just about all other bike fitting technology around the world uses static images. They use rulers, spirit levels, and because we cycle in motion, we feel that you should be actually measured while you're in motion, and then you freeze the frame of interest and take the measurements off there.
But it's not just for the elite.
It's really for everyone, but as a retailer, most time it's trying to get people comfortable and enjoying their bikes.
And with the number of Christmas bikes soon to be delivered around the country, comfort is just what Santa ordered. Megan Martin, One News.
Nice, and don't forget, 3 more sleeps to Christmas.
Oh, yes, indeed. Thanks, Neil. Christmas is meant to be the season of goodwill, but sadly, close-ups found a few lacking in the festive spirit.
That's right, Jude. Our hunt for the country's biggest Scrooge is hotting up. You're not going to believe how stingy some have been. One wins the turkey tonight. An expert on Al-Qaeda assesses the future for Hamid Sudan, the man held hostage in Iraq. And we serve up some Christmas cooking tips and meet the man who lays claims to being the country's biggest cricket fan.
After the break, Karen tells us if the unsettled weather will be clear by Christmas. And he's really got the bug, the 6-year-old who's made a rare discovery. One of New Zealand's rarest beetles is now known to be alive and crawling. The Staphylococcus pulcher was last seen in the 1950s. Now it's been rediscovered thanks to a chance glance by a 6-year-old Invercargill boy.
Oh, there's one!
Like many 6-year-old boys,
I'll get it.
Alex Edwards loves catching bugs. But this 6-year-old has made an extraordinary find.
It was in the puddle, lying on its back. I picked it up and turned it over and dried it.
It turned out to be an extremely rare type of Southland Schaefer beetle, last seen more than 50 years ago.
I didn't know it was what I was looking for.
But bugs run in the family. Alex was with his entomologist father and a group of scientists searching for the rare beetle in the Umbrella Mountains near Alexandra.
We were starting to doubt we're in the right place. So it was only the finding of a beetle by a 6-year-old boy, just as we're about to leave that site, that suddenly spurred us into action.
17 more beetles were then found in the vicinity.
But he called us over and we all sort of yelped with delight.
The flightless bug only emerges from the soil 2 or 3 weeks a year. It mates, lays eggs, then dies.
You're looking at vegetation that ranges from knee height to chest height, shrubs and tussocks with some open areas of wetland. It really is a huge ask to find a beetle the size of a 5-cent piece.
Alex's keen eye has put him into the insect history books. And as for his future, entomology, of course.
It's interesting, and then you can and you can find out lots about bugs, and that's how I like my life to be.
Megan Martin, One News.
Good on you, Alex. Well, it's time to check out the weather now. How's our Christmas shaping up, Karen?
Could do with a little more work, Jude. Hi everyone, a few too many showers around for my liking. There's still a few days to go though, so fingers crossed. Well, quite a spread in the temperatures over the South Island today. From 17 in Invercargill and Dunedin up to 27 in Blenheim. Isolated thunderstorms developed about the Canterbury Plains this afternoon, and there was some lightning reported at Oamaru. Wellington got to 23, highs in the mid-20s. For Hawke's Bay and Gisborne, a cluster of 21s from Tauranga and Tokoroa through to Auckland. Kaitaia peaked on 23. Well, another messy day with showers passing over most places, along with isolated thunderstorms. A cool southwest change spread up the east of the South Island. There's a bright band of frontal cloud and jet stream cloud to the northeast of us, and another front here in the Tasman. That front should pass over the North Island tomorrow morning. The cool southwest change continues its journey over eastern shores, and the low east of the South Island moves away, allowing a more general southwest flow to shuffle on the country, bringing cooler temperatures to many places. So cloudy skies and some rain or showers over northern parts of the South Island. Cloudy periods further south with a few coastal showers in the south and east. In the afternoon, some heavy thundery falls may develop over Bulla and Nelson. We've got southwesterly winds. To the North Island, occasional showers for most places, but Gisborne and Hawke's Bay should stay mostly dry during the morning. Rain with some heavy falls developing in Wellington and Wairarapa. Southwest winds gusting to 70 kilometres an hour in the north, and a cooler southerly in the south. Isolated thunderstorms are possible in central and eastern areas in the afternoon, but the rain will ease to showers in the south. So cool south to southwest winds in the south tomorrow. A few showers for Invercargill and Timaru. Overnight lows of 10 for everyone. Rain eases to a few showers in Ashburton. It becomes mostly fine in the afternoon in Greymouth and Hokitika. Fresh, cold southerly for Kaikoura. Showers develop in Nelson. There may be some thundery falls there. The rain in Masterton will be heavy at times, and some heavy showers further north. Showery day for this group here. Some of those showers may be heavy. A high of 22 for Napier and Hastings, a little cooler out west. Afternoon showers with a risk of thunder for Gisborne. The nor'wester there will give way to a southerly change. Showery sou'wester from Taupo to Rotorua. Just the odd shower or two for Whakatane. And the showers in Tauranga will be mixed with fine spells. Gusty sou'wester and highs in the low 20s. Well, occasional showers for Dunedin. They should ease and become fairly isolated during the morning. A high of 17, and the southwesterly will ease. Rain develops in the morning in Christchurch, but it'll ease to a few showers during the afternoon. The sou'wester will be strong for a time around Banks Peninsula. Rain for Wellington with some heavy falls possible. It should ease back to showers during the evening. The cool southerly will strengthen with a high of 18. Cloudy skies and occasional showers for Hamilton. The southwesterly will be strong in exposed places with gusts around 70 kilometres an hour. The maximum there around 20 degrees. And fairly cloudy in Auckland too, with a few showers passing through on the blustery sou'wester, a high of 20. A front passes over southern parts of Australia, dragging a showery southwest change with it. Ahead of the front, the gusty nor'wester will push the temperatures up. You can see 38 there for Adelaide. Up north, Fiji, Tonga, Niue and Samoa catch a few showers from a nearby trough. Well, on Christmas Eve, it'll be mainly fine with cloudy periods, just a few showers in the east of the North Island, and at first in the far north, some drizzle develops in Fiordland. Christmas Day, now this is a forecast that could definitely do with some work. Not nearly enough sun symbols for my liking. We've got showers developing in the west of the North Island, damp in the west and south of the South Island. This is Boxing Day. Showers in the west of the South Island and coastal parts of Southland. Also a few morning showers in the far north of the North Island and all the way out to Tuesday. Mainly fine, but a southerly change drags some showers over the southern and eastern coastline of the South Island. That change will reach the North Island late in the day. And on the Chatham Islands, well, there should be some showers on Christmas Eve and Boxing Day, but at this stage, Christmas Day is still looking pretty good. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Karen. Looking at our top stories now, an inquiry is underway at Hillmorton Psychiatric Hospital after a man was arrested and charged with killing a Christchurch prostitute. It's believed the man visited the hospital after allegedly raping and abducting another woman just days earlier. Police have now charged the 28-year-old over that incident as well. And Greenpeace protesters have clashed with Japanese whalers as they try to stop a big catch in the Southern Ocean. The Japanese plan to kill 1,000 whales in what they call a scientific program. But 2 Greenpeace boats hope to obstruct the hunt for several months. And that's your news hour this Thursday. Tonight's long at 10:25 from us. Good night.